117 years abandoned in the desert. A human mechanic finally turns it on. The desert was endless. Waves of red sand stretched in every direction under the scorching twin suns of HFY. Heat shimmered over the dunes, hiding dangers beneath its golden haze. Eli Vance wiped sweat from his brow as he rode his worn-out hoverbike over the shifting sands. He had been scavenging the deserts for years, and each day brought a new challenge. Broken machines, forgotten cities, and alien relics littered the wasteland. But today, Eli hoped to find something truly remarkable. His scanner beeped faintly, picking up a weak energy signal far ahead. He frowned. Most of the readings in these areas were dead or useless, long-buried alien tech that no longer worked. But something about this signal felt different. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat trapped under centuries of sand. Eli guided his bike over a ridge and froze. Before him lay the remains of a colossal ship, half buried in sand, stretching hundreds of meters across the horizon. Its hull was dark, with jagged lines etched across it, glowing faintly under layers of dust. Even from a distance he could see signs of ancient battle damage, burn marks, shattered panels, and deep scars from weapons long forgotten. "It can't be," he muttered. Humans had found alien ruins before, but nothing this size had ever survived the desert for over a century. The ship's design was nothing like anything he had studied. It was smooth, almost alive in its contours, with strange markings no human mind could read. Eli parked his bike and approached carefully. Each step sank slightly into the sand, but he didn't mind. His heart pounded with excitement. This was the kind of discovery that could change everything. Scavengers usually avoided the truly massive wrecks. They assumed nothing worth keeping could survive this long. But Eli had learned to trust his instincts. Humans could see possibilities machines or aliens often overlooked. He reached the hull and ran his hand along the cold metal. A faint hum vibrated beneath his fingertips. The ship wasn't completely dead. A thrill ran through him. After all, a human mechanic's greatest joy was not just finding something broken, but fixing it when no one else could. Carefully, he examined the hull for an entry point. Most of the panels had fused shut over decades of sand and rust, but near the center, a hatch groaned under his pressure. He pried it open, revealing darkness inside. A wave of stale metallic air escaped, carrying the smell of ancient electronics. Eli switched on his portable light and stepped inside. The interior was massive. Corridors stretched in every direction, lined with panels covered in alien symbols. The air was thin but breathable, thanks to some ancient environmental systems still faintly humming. Broken machinery sparkled faintly in the dim light, and dust motes danced in the air like tiny stars. Eli's fingers itched to touch everything. He pulled out his universal scanner and waved it over the consoles. Most of the readings were dead, but a few flickered weakly, small sparks of energy hiding in the darkness. Something inside the ship was still alive. Suddenly, a panel on the far wall lit up briefly. Eli jumped back. His heart raced, but not with fear. This was exactly what he had been hoping for. A ship that old shouldn't respond. And yet, it had. Something was inside, waiting. He crouched beside the glowing panel and tapped a few commands on his portable interface. Numbers, shapes, and unfamiliar codes flashed before him. Slowly, the system began to respond. Lights flickered along the corridors, casting long shadows. The ship groaned as its ancient systems woke after decades of silence. And then he heard it, a low, almost human-like voice echoing through the hull. "Is there?" Eli froze. His pulse quickened. He had not expected an AI. Many alien ships were fully automated, but most of them had long since shut down or gone rogue. And yet this voice was clear, calm, almost lonely. "My name is Eli Vance," he said cautiously. "I'm a mechanic. I mean no harm." Then the voice returned, more certain this time. "Mechanic. Human?" Eli nodded, unsure if the ship could see him. Yes, I can repair things. I can fix what's broken. Another pause. Then, in a tone that was almost grateful, the voice said, "Long time waiting for someone." Eli's chest tightened. This ship had been abandoned for 117 years, left alone in the desert. And now it was reaching out to a human. A sense of awe washed over him. Humans had always survived where others failed. Humans could think, adapt, and act in ways alien machines could never predict. That had saved his ancestors time and again. And now it was saving him. He spent the next hours exploring the ship carefully. Ancient corridors led him to a central chamber that seemed to house the main control core. The core was massive, a glowing crystal surrounded by alien circuits. It pulsed faintly, like the heartbeat of a giant. Dust covered the surfaces and some panels were burned or broken. But Eli's eyes sparkled. "This is incredible," he whispered. He had seen wrecks before, but nothing like this. Not even the most advanced salvage ships could compare. And yet, it was damaged. It needed him. Eli rolled up his sleeves. He began connecting his tools to the ship, running diagnostics and examining circuits. Hours passed. The sun dipped low, and the desert turned red-orange. But Eli didn't notice. He was too absorbed. Every human instinct, the curiosity, the creativity, the relentless problem-solving, was at work. Then, as night fell, something unexpected happened. A small panel on the floor slid open, revealing a compartment with alien equipment, tiny and intricate. It looked useless at first, but Eli's mind tickled with possibilities. He could feel the history inside it, the centuries of waiting, the alien technology longing to be touched by human hands again. He carefully picked up the devices, examining them. With patience, logic, and a little improvisation, he began connecting them to the core. Lights flickered, circuits hummed, and the ship shivered as if waking from a long dream. Suddenly, a surge of energy ran through the corridors. The AI spoke again, this time stronger. Mechanic, human, awake. Eli smiled. "I'm awake, and I'm not leaving until you work again." The desert outside was silent, the stars beginning to pierce the night sky. But inside the ship, something ancient stirred. The first steps toward awakening a 117-year abandoned giant had begun, and only a human could make it happen. For the first time in over a century, the ship felt alive, and Eli realized something profound. Humans were not just survivors. Humans were creators, fixers, problem solvers. Where aliens had failed, humans could succeed. And in that moment, the desert, the sand, and the sun became the stage for a story of ingenuity, courage, and discovery that no one could forget. As he worked into the night, repairing circuits, realigning panels, and decoding alien symbols, Eli felt a thrill like no other. He was not just a mechanic. He was the key. The human spark had ignited, and the ancient ship was responding. Somewhere deep inside, the AI hummed, almost purring, as if acknowledging the truth. It had waited 117 years for a human touch, and now it had finally arrived. The adventure was just beginning. The desert night was quiet, but inside the ship a new energy stirred. Eli Vance worked tirelessly, his hands moving over alien circuits with precision. The ship's hum had grown louder, pulsing like a heartbeat. Dust particles glowed faintly in the light of the control panels, giving the interior a surreal, almost magical atmosphere. Eli wiped sweat from his brow. His tools were scratched, his clothes torn, and his hands were black with grease, but he didn't mind. Humans had a stubborn trait. When something called for their skill, they did not rest. And this ship, abandoned for 117 years, was calling. He studied the alien AI interface. Symbols shifted and rearranged as he touched them, responding to his touch in ways he did not fully understand. Most humans would have given up long ago. Most scavengers would have left after an hour, convinced it was impossible. But Eli's mind worked differently. humans could improvise, guess patterns, and find solutions where aliens had built rigid designs. "Okay, let's see what you can really do," Eli muttered. He began connecting the last few alien devices he had found. Tiny, delicate circuits that looked like fragile glass glowed faintly as he aligned them. Sweat ran down his forehead, but his hands never shook. Years of working on damaged ships, malfunctioning engines, and broken machines had prepared him for this moment. Suddenly the ship jolted. Panels flickered. A cold draft swept through the corridors. Eli stumbled back but caught himself. His heart raced, but a smile crossed his face. The ship was alive. Just barely, but alive. "Impressive," a voice echoed through the halls. Ellie froze. The AI's voice was clearer now, more distinct. "You understand me?" he asked cautiously. "Yes," it replied. "I have waited for a human touch. You repair." Eli's grin widened. "I told you, I don't just fix broken machines. I bring them back to life." The AI hummed, a sound almost like relief. "You are different. Others tried and failed. Too rigid, too afraid. You see possibilities." Eli shook his head in awe. He had worked on ancient alien tech before, but nothing like this. The AI was intelligent, aware, and most of all, patient. It had survived over a century of abandonment, waiting for a human who could think, adapt, and dare. He spent the next several hours running diagnostics, rewiring circuits, and improvising solutions. Every system he touched pulsed in response. The engines hummed faintly. The life support system stuttered and then stabilized. The ship's sensors flickered, scanning the desert outside. Then Eli noticed a warning. A panel on the floor slid open, revealing a compartment he had not seen before. Inside were strange alien tools, delicate and precise, clearly designed for beings with multiple appendages. Eli frowned. He could not use them as intended, but humans were nothing if not inventive. He picked up the smallest tool, examining it closely. With careful adjustments, he adapted it to his human hands. It fit perfectly. He smiled. Sometimes, being human meant finding creative ways to do the impossible. Hours passed. Eli moved from room to room, piecing together ancient machinery. The ship seemed to watch him, responding to his touch, almost learning from his methods. It was as if it had never truly been alive until now. Humans were unpredictable, capable of improvisation the rigid alien design had never accounted for. And then disaster struck. A spark leapt from a damaged conduit, and the ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered, and alarms blared. Eli leaped back, narrowly avoiding a burst of electricity. The AI's voice became tense. "Warning. System failure imminent. Need repair." Eli's heart pounded. One wrong move, and all the progress of hours, even decades of waiting, could be lost. He crouched beside the damaged panel, analyzing the circuits with lightning speed. The alien design was complex, with layers of redundancy and fail-safes, but humans had something no alien machine could anticipate: intuition. With careful hands, Eli bypassed the damaged sections, rerouting power through alternate channels. Sparks flew, the hull vibrated, but slowly, steadily, the ship's systems began to stabilize. Lights returned. Humidity levels normalized. Sensors blinked green. The AI exhaled, if it could exhale. "You succeed," it said softly. "Human, intuition, vital. You save." Eli smiled. "Told you. Humans don't just follow instructions. We improvise." For the first time, Eli allowed himself to sit back and admire his work. The central chamber glowed softly, the core pulsing with life. This was no longer just an abandoned ship. It was alive again, responding to a human mind in ways it could never have predicted. But there was more. Eli noticed a compartment near the core, marked with symbols he had not deciphered. It was locked, requiring a combination of alien energy patterns to access. Most humans would have turned away. Too complex, too dangerous. But Eli had a human trait no AI could ignore: curiosity. He studied the patterns, noting the faint energy pulses. Slowly, carefully, he began to replicate them using his own energy modulator. The lock clicked. A panel slid open, revealing the ship's hidden AI core, a crystalline structure pulsing with ancient power. The AI spoke again, its tone almost reverent. "Human, you, awaken. Core, only a human can." Eli stepped forward, his hand hovering over the crystal. He felt its energy coursing through the room. He was not afraid. Humans had always faced the impossible and survived. They had solved problems no machine or alien could, and now he was about to prove it again. He connected his tools, running the final alignment sequence. The crystal pulsed brighter. Circuits hummed. The ship shivered as if stretching after a long sleep. Eli adjusted one last connection, holding his breath. And then the ship came to life. Corridors lit up in a cascade of lights. Engines vibrated. Systems aligned in perfect harmony. The AI spoke, strong and clear now, no longer weak from centuries of dormancy. "You are remarkable, human. I am awake, thanks to you." Eli leaned against a console, smiling. "Glad to help. You have been waiting a long time for someone like me." The AI hummed almost like a laugh. 117 years. Waiting. Finally human, mechanic. Eli felt a thrill unlike any before. This was more than just a ship. It was a partnership. A human mind had awakened a centuries-old alien vessel, a feat no alien could have accomplished. It was proof that humans were different, capable of things no one else could predict. Hours turned into night. Eli and the ship continued their work, testing systems, repairing minor damages, and learning from each other. The desert outside remained silent, unaware that a miracle had awakened in its sands. By dawn, the ship was almost fully operational. Its engines purred. Life support was functional. Sensors scanned the horizon, and the AI, finally awake, began communicating with Eli in ways it could not have imagined, relying on his creativity and adaptability to survive. Eli stepped outside for the first time since entering the ship. The twin suns rose over the dunes, casting golden light on the desert. He looked back at the massive vessel, half buried in sand but alive, ready to move. A wave of pride and excitement surged through him. "I did it," he whispered. "We did it." And the ship responded, a low, powerful hum vibrating through the ground. It was alive. It was aware. And thanks to a human, it would never be forgotten again. But even as Eli smiled, he knew the adventure was just beginning. The desert had kept this giant silent for over a century. But now, together, human and machine, they would face the galaxy and anything that dared challenge them. Humans had once again proven their value. Adaptable, creative, fearless. The universe might be vast and full of powerful beings, but one human had awakened a legend, and no one could deny the spark of ingenuity that only humans could bring. The desert might forget, but history would not. The sun had climbed high over the desert, turning the sand into a burning sea of gold. Eli Vance stood at the entrance of the awakened ship, wiping sweat from his brow. The air inside hummed with life, and every panel glowed faintly under the twin suns. For over a century this giant had been silent, abandoned, and forgotten. But now it moved slightly, responding to the human who had dared to touch it. "Almost ready," Eli muttered to himself, checking the final systems. The AI, Caliph, as it had finally introduced itself, spoke through the ship's speakers. "You, human, Skilled, remarkable, it said. But final test, before full activation, you must succeed. Eli frowned. Final test. Yes, Kyleth replied. Systems locked. Protective, trial and sure, pilot, worthy. Eli smiled. Protective systems? You mean I get a challenge before you let me fly you? Correct. Must. Solve. Survive. Kayla's voice was firm. Human. Only. Can. Eli had faced impossible machines before, but nothing like this. An ancient alien ship, left to rot for 117 years, was now testing him. And in that moment, Eli realized something extraordinary. No alien design could anticipate human creativity. This trial was meant to stop unworthy pilots, but humans were nothing if not resourceful. He stepped into the ship's main corridor. The floor panels lit up under his feet. Suddenly, the walls shimmered, projecting a maze of corridors that weren't really there. The ship's trial had begun. Hallucinations, illusions, traps, Kyleth explained. Human must navigate. Eli took a deep breath. Humans had survived worse. Entire planets, hostile environments, and alien machines. And they had done it by adapting, improvising, and refusing to quit. He tightened his grip on his tools and began moving forward. The first challenge appeared. A section of the floor collapsed into darkness, glowing only faintly with alien light. Eli studied it. There was no visible path, but humans had balance, intuition, and the ability to think differently. He tested the floor slowly, adjusting his weight, shifting his steps. The panels let up under his careful motion, and he crossed safely. Correct, Khalith's voice intoned. Proceed. Next came a series of mechanical barriers. Alien arms swung through the corridors designed to push intruders back or disable them. Eli ducked, rolled, and used his tool to jam a few of the barriers in place. Others he timed perfectly, using his human reflexes. Each movement was calculated yet flexible, a combination no rigid alien programming could anticipate. You. Human. Clever. Adaptable, Khaleth commented. Few survive this. Eli grinned. I told you humans improvise. You never know what we'll do next. Then the trial grew more dangerous. Energy beams crisscrossed the corridor ahead, pulsing in patterns. A wrong step could fry circuits, or worse, trigger a security lockdown. Eli studied the rhythm, noticing subtle variations that no AI could hide from a human mind trained to detect patterns. He moved step by step, timing his jumps and rolls perfectly, dodging the beams. Sweat poured down his face, but his mind was calm. Humans had a unique ability to stay flexible under pressure, to react in ways that machines could not predict. It was a skill honed over millennia of survival. And now, that skill was saving him from a ship's long-forgotten defenses. Finally, he reached the central chamber where the I-core pulsed with soft light. The final stage of the trial awaited. A holographic interface appeared, projecting alien symbols and complex energy grids. Kalis spoke, human, solve, align, core, fully activate, must, prove. Eli studied the grids. Alien logic was rigid, structured. Most beings would follow patterns exactly, failing if any variable shifted. Humans, however, could think differently. Eli's mind raced, connecting patterns in unconventional ways. He adjusted circuits, rerouted energy through unexpected paths, and used his tools to realign the grids. Sparks flew. Panels flickered. The AI hummed in anticipation. Interesting, human. Unpredictability, correct. Solution, Khalith said. Impressive. Remarkable. Eli wiped sweat from his brow. He had done it. The trial was complete. The AI core glowed brighter, and the ship hummed with power vibrating under his feet. He could feel it now. The energy of a colossal vessel, awakened after 117 years, responding to a human touch. But there was no time to celebrate. The desert outside began to stir. Dust clouds formed on the horizon, moving toward the ship. Eli's scanner picked up multiple signals. Other scavengers had arrived, drawn by the faint energy surge. They would see the ship as a prize, not understanding the danger it contained. "They're coming," Eli said, his jaw tightening, "and they want to take it by force." Kalis' voice was calm but firm. "Human, defend ship, adapt you, succeed." Eli smiled. Humans had faced enemies before, far more dangerous than scavengers. He raced through the corridors, checking systems, preparing defenses. The ship responded to his commands in real time, opening hidden panels, activating dormant turrets, and sealing entry points. The first group of scavengers entered the outer corridor. They were armed and confident, thinking the ship would be easy prey. They didn't know it had an ally, a human mechanic who could think faster, adapt faster, and command the ship in ways no alien had designed. Eli used the ship's holographic controls to mislead them. Illusions of walls, false paths, and sudden energy barriers confused the intruders. Every human instinct, strategy, intuition, improvisation worked in harmony with the alien technology. The scavengers hesitated, panicked, and finally retreated after a few close encounters. Human, tactical, brilliant, efficiency, unexpected. Kalis' voice was filled with admiration. Few beings can defend. Like this, L.A. wiped his hands, catching his breath. He had won this first battle. The ship, alive and now fully responsive, recognized his skill, courage, and ingenuity. Humans were unpredictable, creative, and fearless. And that unpredictability had saved them both. By nightfall, the desert was silent again. The ship rested, fully awakened and aware, ready to move at Eli's command. The scavengers had fled, and the desert returned to its endless dunes. But Eli knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would take notice of a human who had reawakened a legendary ship abandoned for over a century. He walked through the ship's corridors, feeling its pulse, its energy responding to his presence. He had passed the trial, defended the vessel, and proved that humans could do what no other beings could. Kalis hummed beside him, a silent acknowledgement of the bond forming between human and machine. "Tomorrow," Eli said softly, looking out at the horizon, "we see what you can really do, together." And for the first time in 117 years, the ship felt truly alive, not as a machine, but as a partner. The human spark had ignited it, and nothing in the desert could stop what was coming next. Humans had once again proven themselves, clever, courageous, and capable of triumph against any odds. The adventure was far from over. But one thing was certain. The galaxy would remember the day a human mechanic awoke a sleeping giant. The first light of dawn stretched across the desert, turning the sand into rivers of gold and red. Eli Vance stood on a ridge, looking down at the colossal ship that had been abandoned for 117 years. Its hull shimmered in the morning sun, reflecting 1,000 tiny points of light from its newly reactivated systems. It was no longer a relic. It was alive, breathing, waiting for its first command. Kalis, the ship's ancient AI, spoke through the speakers. Its voice was calm, strong, and full of anticipation. "Human, pilot, worthy, ready, initiate launch sequence, or leave dormant." Eli ran his hands over the ship's surface, feeling the hum of engines, the pulse of the core, and the energy that had been waiting over a century for a human to awaken it. "We're not leaving dormant," he said firmly. "We're going to see the stars together," the ship responded with a soft, resonant hum. Panels slid open, the engines thrummed, and systems aligned in perfect harmony. Eli entered the cockpit for the first time. Controls glowed beneath his hands, and the holographic interface displayed the desert below. "Systems online," Kalis said. "Navigation ready. Propulsion, active, weapon. Functional, human. Command, accepted. Eli leaned back, feeling the thrill of victory and anticipation. He had repaired the ship, survived the trials, and defended it from scavengers. Now, the true adventure began. He initiated the launch sequence. Engines roared to life, and the desert trembled beneath the ship's weight. Sand exploded outward as the massive vessel lifted slowly, hovering above the dunes. Eli's heart raced. Humans had lifted smaller crafts before, but no one had ever piloted a vessel of this scale, especially one abandoned for over a century. The ship responded instantly to Eli's subtle adjustments. Khalith guided him, translating alien systems into something a human mind could control. But it was Eli's ingenuity, his intuition, and his courage that truly brought the ship to life. As the vessel rose higher, the desert shrank below them. Eli looked at the horizon, imagining the worlds that lay beyond. For centuries, humans had been explorers, survivors, and inventors. But now, one human had awakened a sleeping giant, and the galaxy itself would take notice. Suddenly, Caliph spoke with urgency. Human detection unknown. Approaching. Multiple hostile signals. Eli squinted at the radar. A fleet of scavenger ships, armed and dangerous, was moving toward them. They had not given up. The energy pulse from the ship had drawn them across the desert. Eli's mind raced. Humans had faced worse threats: pirates, warlords, alien predators. And humans had always found a way to survive. "All right," he said, a grin spreading across his face. "Let's show them what humans can do." The first scavenger ship fired. Energy bolts streaked across the sky, striking the outer shields of the vessel. The ship vibrated under the impact, but Caliph responded instantly, activating defense systems and countermeasures. Eli adjusted controls, combining human intuition with alien technology in a way the original designers had never imagined. The ship's turrets swung into action. Automated defenses targeted the scavengers, using calculated precision that humans had improvised to improve. The attackers were caught off guard. The ship moved unpredictably, dodging attacks and countering in ways no alien strategy could have predicted. Human tactics, effective, unusual, efficient, Caliph said, almost in awe. Eli laughed, his hands moving across controls with fluid confidence. "I told you, humans improvise, we survive, and sometimes we thrive." The battle was intense but brief. The scavenger fleet, unprepared for a human commanding an ancient alien vessel, faltered. Their attacks became disorganized, and Eli used the ship's agility, energy shields, and countermeasures to drive them off. One by one, the enemy ships retreated, leaving the desert skies clear once again. "Human, remarkable," Caliph said. "Few beings could command like this. Human, unique." Eli leaned back, breathing heavily but smiling. He had not just survived the trial, he had proved that humans were extraordinary. It was not just strength or technology that made humans exceptional. It was creativity, courage, and the ability to adapt. As the day progressed, Eli explored the ship's full capabilities. He discovered hidden compartments with ancient weaponry, navigation tools, and alien technology, capable of astounding feats. But more importantly, he realized that Caliph and the ship were more than tools. They were partners. The AI had knowledge that no human could possess alone, and Eli had intuition and ingenuity that no AI could replicate. Together, they were unstoppable. Caliph's voice softened. "Human, together explore, beyond known galaxies, discover, protect." Ellie nodded. "We will. There's so much out there waiting. Let's see it all." With the desert far below them, the ship lifted higher, breaking the atmosphere and entering orbit. Stars stretched across the sky, glittering like diamonds. Eli's eyes widened in wonder. He had always dreamed of seeing the stars from a cockpit, but now he was in command of a vessel that could take him anywhere, powered by human ingenuity and guided by an AI older than civilization itself. "Ready for our first journey?" Caleth asked. "Ready," Eli said firmly. "Let's go." The ship accelerated, leaving the planet behind. Lights from distant cities faded. The desert became a tiny speck on the planet's surface. The hum of the engines filled the cabin, and Eli felt the pulse of the ship under his hands. This was more than flight. It was creation. Humans had brought life to something thought lost forever. Over the next hours, Eli and Caleb began exploring distant systems. The ship's sensors detected uncharted planets, strange energy signatures, and signals of civilizations long abandoned or unknown. Each discovery thrilled Eli. Every star, every planet, every mystery reinforced a simple truth: humans were capable of extraordinary things. As they traveled, word began to spread across the galaxy. Traders, scavengers, and explorers spoke of a human who had reawakened a legendary alien ship, abandoned for 117 years. Many were in awe, some were cautious, but all were forced to recognize a simple fact: humans had done what no one else could. Eli spent nights in the cockpit, watching stars streak past, feeling the hum of the ship through his fingertips. Caleb, now fully awake, shared knowledge of the galaxy, ancient technologies, and forgotten civilizations. But it was Eli's ingenuity that gave life to the ship. "Human, extraordinary, unique," Caleb said one evening. "Other beings attempt, fail. Human, succeed." Eli smiled. "That's what we do. We explore, we create, we adapt, we survive. That's humanity." Together they charted new worlds, discovering resources, ancient ruins, and hidden dangers. Pirates, rogue AI, and alien factions tried to challenge them, but every time humans proved they could think beyond the rules, improvise, and overcome. Caleb often remarked that no AI had ever faced such unpredictable strategies, and yet Eli's human mind guided them through every peril. Weeks turned into months. Eli grew more confident. He repaired and enhanced systems, combining human engineering with alien technology in ways the galaxy had never seen. Ships that had once dismissed humans as weak now watched in awe as a single human commanded a legendary vessel. One evening, as they hovered above a newly discovered planet, Kayla spoke quietly. "Human, potential, limitless. With you, alive, ship, fully realized." Ellie looked out at the stars, a sense of calm pride filling him. "We're just getting started. There's a whole galaxy out there, and humans have a place in it, wherever they choose." The ship pulsed with energy, and Eli felt it respond to his determination, his creativity, and his courage. He had awakened a legend, defended it, passed its trials, and now, together, they were unstoppable. The galaxy was vast, but humans were not to be underestimated. The desert below faded into memory. A human mechanic, once just another scavenger, had turned an abandoned ship into a force that could explore, protect, and inspire. 117 years of silence had ended with the touch of a human hand, and in the vast darkness of space, that human spark shone brighter than any star. Eli tightened his grip on the controls and smiled. Adventure awaited. Challenges would come, but one thing was clear. Humans were extraordinary. The universe had forgotten them at times, but humans always found a way to rise. And now, they had a giant by their side. "Let's see the universe," Eli whispered. "Let's show them what humans can do." Caleb hummed, a sound of agreement, admiration, and anticipation. Together, they vanished into the stars, leaving the desert and 117 years of abandonment behind forever. The galaxy would never forget the day a human awakened a sleeping giant.